Established in the year 2101, the Colonial Marines have evolved into more than just a military institution. They are the embodiment of resolve, adaptability, and unyielding commitment to the missions they are assigned. As the primary military force of the alien universe, they are armed with technologically advanced weapons and tools and are given high-tech spaceships so that they can navigate through the deepest and farthest sectors of infinite space. From the blood-soaked grounds of Acheron or LV-426, to the distant and mysterious worlds like Tientsin, Helene 215, and BG-386, the Colonial Marines have ventured where few dare tread. Although their primary job is to protect the colonists and other humans, they often come across xenomorphs, and many Marines prove their mettle by becoming apex xeno-killers. On the other hand, some Marines are known simply for their sheer wit, dedication, and quick thinking. In this video, we'll explore the top 11 badass Colonial Marines from Alien Universe, including movies, comics, and games. So get ready to see some power-loaded action. Let's begin. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Corporal Dwayne Hicks. Corporal Dwayne Hicks was dispatched with his squad to investigate the communication breakdown at Hadley's Hope Colony on LV-426 in the year 2179. Led by Lieutenant Gorman, the squad was accompanied by civilian advisors Weyland-Yutani, Representative Carter J. Burke, and Lieutenant Ellen Ripley. Now, she needs no introduction, I presume. During the journey, Hicks seemed like the more confident Marine of the lot and even speculated that they would likely resolve a mere technical glitch affecting the colonists. Oh boy, was he wrong. Upon touchdown, Hicks and his team efficiently cleared the administrative building. Subsequently, as Gorman and the advisors integrated with the squad, Frost detected a motion signal on their equipment. The source turned out to be the frightened young girl Newt. Continuing their search, they located the missing colonist within the atmospheric processor and came face to face with the real extent of the danger his team was facing. Descending further into the station's sublevels, they came across a categorical shift in the surroundings, which was supposed to be a mechanical setting, but now it was enshrouded in unfamiliar resin. Corporal Dwayne Hicks took charge after an alien chestburster came out of one of the unfortunate colonists, valiantly saved Werbowski during an explosion, and seemed to be greatly affected by his team members' loss when Werbowski succumbed. Hicks ordered a strategic retreat, successfully fending off a xenomorph with his shotgun. When Lieutenant Gorman was incapacitated, Hicks became the acting commander, opting for immediate evacuation using a thermonuclear warhead, which, in my opinion, was the smart thing to do. Despite a crash during the evacuation, Hicks directed the salvage efforts and regrouped the survivors to ensure their safety. Later, he led the fortification efforts, sealing the doors, reinforcing the barricades, and setting up the awesome sentry guns, and even trained Ripley in self-defense using the M41A pulse rifle. Speaking of which, I think you should definitely check out our exploration of this marvelous weapon that is a Colonial Marine favorite. Anyway, when the xenomorphs attacked again, the sentry guns got into action, and amid the chaos, Hicks responded to an alarm in the med lab. He assisted Ripley in combating loose specimens and discovered Burke's treachery. Later, during the final escape, he coordinated efforts to reach Newt in the sewers. Acidic blood inflicted several injuries on him. Yet Hicks, aided by Ripley and Bishop, endured to make it to safety. In the end, Hicks was one of the 4 survivors who successfully departed Acheron. As a person, he displayed leadership qualities, cool-headedness, and proficiency in using his weapons. He stood as a foil to his comrades, balancing the team dynamic. Hicks' resourcefulness and calm demeanor, even in turbulent situations, made him a resilient and vital Marine. And maybe the battle would have been lost much before had it not been for Corporal Dwayne Hicks. Corporal Christopher Winter. Christopher Winter, hailing from Pender, Nebraska, answered the call of duty by joining the United States Colonial Marine Corps. His early years showed his natural aptitude for leadership, detection skills, and proficiency in firepower. Winter's ability to thrive under pressure quickly earned him recognition, leading to his participation in multiple tours from both O'Neill Station and Gateway Station. Hereafter, he swiftly ascended the ranks from private to corporal within 2 years. During a mission in 2179, Winter's battalion responded to a distress call from Corporal Dwayne Hicks, aboard the USS Sulaco. Arriving on LV-426, the Sulaco, seemingly abandoned, was, in fact, filled with xenomorphs. Winter's unit faced the biomechanical monsters, and several of the soldiers lost their lives, leaving only a handful of survivors. Undeterred, Winter immediately embarked on a search for fellow Marine Squad Rhino 2-3, but was shocked to find them cocooned in xenomorph resin. He saved Sergeant Keyes, and the two headed to retrieve the data recorder in the hopes of learning more about Sulaco. In the end, Winter barely made it out of the relentless attacks from xenomorphs, but the chestburster within Keyes erupted, killing him. Corporal Keyes did not have any prior experience fighting xenomorphs, but he proved to be an apex xeno hunter. He even visited the infamous derelict ship and later battled Weyland-Yutani Special Forces and successfully dispatched a Raven alien using a power loader. But of course, that's not all. Winter managed to successfully defeat a xenomorph queen, albeit with the help of other Marines, and left LV-426 alive and breathing. You could say that Corporal Winter almost always had help while fighting Xenos, but that doesn't mean he wasn't a potent and skilled warrior. Private First Class Jeanette Vasquez. Private First Class Jeanette Vasquez was another important member of the Marine team selected for the mission. Like her comrades, Vasquez anticipated a straightforward assignment, focusing on eradicating bugs. Upon reaching the abandoned colony, Vasquez was also present when Newt was discovered. When evidence of trackers within the atmospheric processor was uncovered, Vasquez and her companions prepared to address the situation. Following orders to avoid catastrophic consequences, she and Drake discreetly readied some powerful weaponry in the tumultuous atmosphere of the xenomorph-infested processor. Vasquez's resourcefulness and skills helped her survive, albeit temporarily. She also rescued Drake from an imminent xenomorph attack, although his exposure to acid blood proved fatal. After escaping the atmospheric processor and coordinating a rendezvous with the dropship, Vasquez prepared the distress flares to signal for extraction and enact Corporal Hicks' plan to neutralize the colony from orbit. Tragically, an unforeseen xenomorph aboard the dropship led to a mid-air assault, resulting in the loss of both Pilot Farrow and co-pilot Spunkmeyer. The crash left Vasquez and the survivors stranded on the planet's surface, encircled by relentless biomechanical monsters. She then helped Hudson to reinforce defenses while awaiting rescue. As the xenomorph assault escalated, Vasquez covered the rear during the escape and fended off a close-quarters attack, exhausting her sidearms' ammunition and sustaining acid burns in the process. Despite her injuries, Vasquez pressed on, but unfortunately, she could not survive the onslaught. Private William Hudson. Upon arrival at Hadley's Hope, Private William Hudson hacked into the colony's main building entrance. Hudson played an important role in deciphering the surgically implanted transmitters within the colonists. Identifying their clustered signals in the atmospheric processor sublevels, he led the team towards the source. However, a tactical decision led by Lieutenant Gorman resulted in the slinging of weapons and reliance on flame units. Despite voicing objections alongside Frost, Hudson adhered to the order. Furthermore, he was the one who noticed that Sergeant Apone was missing. Witnessing the tragic loss of fellow Marines, including Drake, Hudson did the job to the best of his abilities and persevered despite the painful injuries he sustained because of the xenomorph blood. Hudson wasn't the strongest of the lot, but being a Marine, he was more capable than most ordinary humans. Being the overconfident braggart and even the comedian of the team, his anxiety became apparent as the tensions escalated, and it had begun to impact the group's morale. However, Ripley's intervention helped reorient his perspective, reminding him of Newt's survival, despite being a little girl stuck amidst a horde of xenomorphs. During the climactic confrontation with the xenomorphs, Hudson used the motion tracker and played a pivotal role in alerting the team to their imminent attack. Tragically, Hudson was ultimately overpowered and abducted by a xenomorph. Private Anderson. Private Anderson served as a dedicated member of the United States Colonial Marine Corps, stationed at the Weyland-Yutani Research Facility on LV-426. His involvement in the xenomorph outbreak of 2189 is what sets him apart from the flock and why he's on this list. Amid the crisis, Anderson woke up from a distressing nightmare to discover the grim reality surrounding him. He faced a xenomorph onslaught within the research complex, prompting his swift response under the guidance of his commanding officer. He went straight to the derelict ship at the center of the facility in the deserted colony and successfully restored power and systems before escaping to safety in an APC. Compelled by the Weyland-Yutani Corporation, Anderson ventured into the atmosphere processing plant to deactivate its coolant systems, a move intended to eliminate the xenomorph threat. Accomplishing his mission, he was evacuated from LV-426 by a dropship. Anderson's journey continued on the USS Autobonus, where another xenomorph infestation was raising its deadly head. He fought his way through the station, encountering both Predators and Xenoborg prototype cyborgs. Despite the challenges, he managed to reach an escape pod, which led him to the USS Tirago. On the USS Tirago, Anderson encountered overwhelming xenomorph resistance and confronted a Predator. But this was just the beginning. The final confrontation awaited him with the ship's hangar, where Anderson faced the formidable Xenomorph Queen. In the end, he outwitted and defeated the Queen by using the ship's airlock to expel her into space. Corporal David Wilkes. Corporal David Wilkes was tasked with investigating a communication loss on a planet called Rim, where Wilkes and his squad inevitably had an encounter with xenomorphs. Upon their arrival at Rim, Wilkes and his team discovered the colony's devastation with only a lone survivor, Billy, amidst the carnage. You could say that Billy was heavily inspired by the character of Newt. As they sought to evacuate, they found that their dropship had been compromised. Stranded and facing relentless danger, Wilkes and the remaining survivors fought to evade hostile creatures. Wilkes did everything he could to save Billy and even fought a xenomorph queen. But of course, the price was high, and he suffered serious physical scars and emotional trauma. His disruptive behavior and flawed coping mechanisms earned him imprisonment and was subsequently removed from active duty. But eventually, he reunited with Billy and things started to change for Corporal Wilkes. However, Wilkes was eventually reassigned and he illegally brought Billy along with him on a mission. But the mission went haywire because of the betrayal from one Colonel Stevens. Subsequently, he joined forces with Billy as they confronted space pirates and defeated a bad guy named Massey. Following the defeat of Massey, Wilkes and Billy went on a mission to rescue stranded Marines and crew. They neutralized combat androids, patrolling the ship and coordinating with Squad 1 for rescue missions. Wilkes set a nuclear payload to detonate on the planet, ensuring the xenomorph threat would be eradicated. Upon landing near the xenomorph hive, Wilkes encountered survivors Bueller, Blake, and a crew member. He provided cover fire while they boarded the dropship, fending off xenomorph attacks. Wilkes and Blake ventured outside to clear the ship of swarming creatures and discovered a mysterious figure in a spacesuit that eradicated the xenomorphs. And once that was done, the team entered hypersleep for their journey back to Earth, marking the end of their harrowing mission. However, Wilkes and the survivors returned to Earth after their hypersleep, only to find the planet infested by xenomorphs. They received transmissions revealing the extent of the crisis. Landing at a stronghold, they were met by armed Marines and a general. After a heated brawl, Blake sacrificed himself to protect the group, and Wilkes confronted the general, resulting in the latter's death. With the base compromised, Wilkes, Billy, and Bueller fled aboard a freighter, narrowly escaping the conflict and nuke detonations. Private Shitkicker. Private Shitkicker was a member of the United States Colonial Marine Corps, but he wasn't human. Shitkicker was a specialized berserker unit, or an android fighter, that was deployed to Todd Lab LXI to address a xenomorph outbreak. Berserker units are heavily armed and equipped with acid-resistant armor, and are designed for combat against xenomorphs. Furthermore, they come with integrated weapons such as pulse rifles, grenade launchers, and flamethrowers. Shitkicker operated the MOX-16 suit, engaging in combat with a xenomorph queen aboard Todd Lab. Controlled through a neural interface and assisted by advanced computer programming, Berserkers are capable of automated targeting and precise actions, despite being tested only in controlled scenarios. Berserkers like Shitkicker have been used in field testing where there are no restrictions to what they can do. During the mission to Todd Lab LXI, the team's efforts proved unsuccessful in containing the outbreak, leading to the substantial casualties and the escape of a xenomorph queen. Regrettably, Shitkicker's involvement contributed to the mission's failure, and he met his demise when caught within the implosion radius as the station was destroyed. Corporal Andrew Harrison. Appearing in Aliens vs. Predator 2, Corporal Andrew Harrison was a dedicated Marine who led his unit on a mission to the planet LV-1201 to investigate Weyland-Yutani facilities. Facing unexpected and intense xenomorph resistance, Harrison's team suffered heavy casualties. Harrison's path took an unexpected turn when he encountered a Yautja, and, of course, Harrison fought the Master Hunter. Despite being separated from his unit multiple times, he managed to regroup with them at a Weyland-Yutani facility. With communication disabled, Harrison negotiated for access to a communications console, but his trust was betrayed by a mercenary named Dunya. Rendered unconscious and imprisoned, he faced uncertainty about his fate. However, Harrison's determination led to his escape from confinement, and he formed an alliance with a corporate scientist named Tomiko. Together, they uncovered disturbing truths about Weyland-Yutani's unethical experiments. Harrison coordinated a successful rescue operation for his fellow Marines, but it required them to enter through a xenomorph-infested hive. In a final, selfless act, Tomiko sacrificed himself to prevent further horrors from escaping the Weyland-Yutani facility, which also triggered the facility's destruction. As the mission concluded, Harrison's heroic actions earned him a well-deserved rest aboard the USS Verloc, having gone above and beyond to ensure the safety of his team and expose the truth. Sergeant Reuben Green. Sergeant Reuben Green assumed the leadership of the battalion stationed at Sharon Base, entrusted with the task of safeguarding the research facility and its inhabitant. Operating under Professor Kleist's authority, Green's responsibilities were closely tied to the security of the base and the individuals working there. Green found himself at the forefront of a dire situation when a xenomorph outbreak erupted in Sharon Base. Amidst the chaos, he led the efforts to evacuate civilians from the besieged complex. Despite the overwhelming challenges posed by the outbreak, Green emerged as one of the few survivors of the harrowing incident, managing to escape aboard the Caliban. During his assignment at Sharon Base, Green's leadership extended beyond traditional military duties. He became entangled in the complex dynamics between the Marine platoon and Larson's private security force, both operating within the confines of the research facility. Green's dedication to his men was evident as he grappled with the increasing dangers posed by xenomorph retrieval missions that Larson's private security was running, because they all wanted to collect live xenomorph specimens for a scientist named Kleist. While faithful to the established chain of command, Green's frustrations grew over time because his Marines were being exploited for assignments under Kleist's direction. Private Mark Drake. Private First Class Mark Drake served as a skilled smart gun operator as a member of the United States Colonial Marine Corps and was assigned to the 2nd Battalion Bravo team. Drake shared a strong bond and potentially a romantic connection with fellow smart gun operator, Private Jeanette Vasquez, but their love couldn't blossom because Drake met his demise during the early stages of the mission when he was fatally exposed to the acid from an exploding xenomorph drone, despite his gruff demeanor. Drake was rather on the mischievous and lighthearted side, often getting into playful pranks and humorous interaction with his squad mates. His camaraderie with Vasquez was particularly evident as the two often trained together and provided mutual encouragement for their more disruptive tendencies. Additionally, Drake had a certain disregard for authority, especially when it conflicted with his perception of what was best for the team, such as his decision to disobey orders to deactivate his smart gun within the hive. Sergeant Al Apone. Master Sergeant Alexander Apone was also in the 2nd Battalion Bravo team, leading as the senior non-commissioned officer. Apone's leadership style was a combination of authority and camaraderie. Apone served as the de facto leader as he commanded the most respect from his subordinates, which could also be attributed to his explosive personality and quick wit. For Apone, the safety of his personnel was paramount, and he wouldn't compromise on that for just about anything, even if it was a direct order from a superior. And this guy loved cigars. In fact, he even took one on his cryotube so that he could smoke it as soon as he woke up from a long sleep. However, things turned out to be worse than death for Alexander when he and his men entered the atmospheric processing plant, which had been turned into a xenomorph hive. Within the hive, Apone asked by Gorman to order the men to turn off the smart guns to prevent any damage to the reactor. Apone initially questioned the order but later accepted the chain of command. They discovered the cocooned men and women, including Mary, who was alive but died almost immediately when a chest burster came out of her. They torched the chest burster, but its dying screeches alerted the other xenomorph, who wasted no time to attack the men. During the commotion, Gorman was still trying to give orders to Apone, and this distracted the sergeant long enough for a xenomorph to approach him unnoticed. Unfortunately, Apone was taken away by the xenomorph drone, who probably used him as a host for a chest burster. Marvelous verdict. So you see, there have been innumerable Marines filling the ranks of the United States Colonial Marine Corps, but only a select few have risen above the ranks and made their names for their valor and heroism. These exceptional individuals have exemplified unwavering dedication, unparalleled courage, and unyielding commitment to their fellow Marines and humanity itself. Without them, countless lives would have been lost to the xenomorph threat. And to be honest, the movies wouldn't have done enough justice to them. From the battle-scarred corridors of the USS Sulaco to the deadly environments of various distant planets, these distinguished colonial Marines have faced insurmountable odds with unwavering resolve. Their exploits have become legendary tales of triumph, inspiring generations of servicemen and women who follow in their footsteps. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone!